The following podcast is taken from a live broadcast on Inspire FM.
Any health advice given, whether general, diet, physical or spiritual, is general only and must be verified by your doctor. If you need medical advice, please consult a doctor.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to another exciting and educating edition of the Health and Fitness Show. I'm your host Fahad Matin for today's show, and I hope and pray that all of us are fit and healthy by the grace of Almighty Allah. I do pray that we all had a nice and positive week so far and looking for a nice and relaxing weekend. This program is broadcasting live from the studios of Inspire FM today on 30th of January 2020. And casting its positive vibes to all our lovely people in Luton and all the surrounding areas of Luton like Dunstable, Harpeth and Bedford. And our positive airwaves reaching to all the listeners of Inspire FM who are listening us through Inspire FM web app or mobile apps, even if they are seeing us through Facebook. Yes, indeed. We are live on Facebook page. So all you have to do is just go to Inspire FM Facebook page and click the live link. As we all know, that this show we do has been covered different health-related topics throughout the years, in the last few years, and every single week we bring a different topic, and we do have different perspective to present that topic. And today's topic is somewhere in that same line. Normally I stop starting my show with a quote, but today I thought why not one? We should throw one in. So a best way of spending a healthy life is to have a healthy lifestyle. What do you reckon? Yes, indeed. You may have guessed the topic of the show today. Yes, we have the topic of the show today is healthy lifestyle. Yes, we are talking about healthy lifestyle, and we are not talking only about exercise. And my show is not about exercise, and my guest is not Leo Nazair, because that's something which I normally talk with Leo. No, today I have really interesting guest with me today, two doctors, and definitely the doctors will be taking the show on. I'm just a person who's hosting this show, and they are the ones who will be preaching the knowledge and their expertise to us. They are guiding us, and we all know we always require a doctor to look after our health, and we do need their advices regular basis. So let me welcome our guest tonight. So joining me in the studios are Dr. Rubina Azam and Dr. Samee Siddiqui. Assalamu alaikum, guys.
Wa alaikum salam, Fahad.
How are you guys?
Doing very well this evening. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. So, as it's a culture of the show, I will always ask my guests to introduce themselves. So, let's start with you, Rubina.
My name is Rubina Azam, and I'm a GP registrar in one of the busy GP practices in Luton. And my day-to-day work involves seeing patients with a variety of conditions, and I'm really interested in health promotion and disease prevention.
Indeed. Perfect. And Dr. Samee.
Yeah, so I'm Dr. Samee Siddiqui. I'm also working at Woodland Avenue Practice as a GP registrar. I did my medical training at Imperial College London, and since then have been doing a variety of medical posts across the country, covering a range of specialties, including surgery and various sorts of medical specialties as well.
Wow, perfect. So you are both a GP registrar. So people who will be listening to us, our listeners, would definitely like to know what is the difference between GP and a GP registrar.
So a registrar is basically the halfway house between an almost qualified GP who's working kind of semi-independently with some supervision. So we've got Dr. Barhay, our supervisor. We're in the last, say, 6 months or 4 months of our training before we can completely go out and go anywhere. So I suppose the difference is you're working quite independently, but within a practice where there is a supervisor. So you're seeing people on your own, making your own decisions, but there's someone in the building or around if you need them. And the difference between that and sort of going in a one-man practice where you're the only GP around is that you have to be a fully qualified GP. So about a few months away from that for both of us.
Okay, but you're not fully qualified GP, but you're a fully qualified doctor.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, cool. No, sorry, for listeners as well, that sometimes people do confuse the whole terminology
right.
as a registrar, thinking that, oh, that's a trainee doctor. You're not a trainee doctor, you're a fully qualified doctor, but training to become a full GP.
We've been doctors for more than 10 years,
Mashallah.
At least for myself. And I think Dr. Siddiqui as well has been a doctor for a long time. It's just the specialty that we are pursuing. And we are very excited that it's just the last few months now.
And then you will be GPs as well.
Yes.
Perfect. And first of all, thank you so much for coming to our show. And as I said, my listeners, our listeners always like to interact with all our GPs, and they definitely want to ask questions, especially अगर आप लोग उर्दू में भी बात कर सकते हैं, बिकॉज हमारे जो लिसनर्स हैं वो इंग्लिश उर्दू दोनों सुनने वाले हैं, एंड समटाइम्स वो उर्दू में पूछना चाहते हैं, तो कैन दे आस्क दोस क्वेश्चंस इन उर्दू एज वेल?
जी जरूर,
बिल्कुल.
Perfect. So we have a very special GPs today, guys. So listeners, if you have any questions or curious regarding our show tonight, please do give us a call on 01582 481822. I repeat, 01582 481822. Or you can send text messages or WhatsApp on 0779 481822. I repeat, 0779 481822. So, guys, as the topic suggests, healthy lifestyle. So, the topic says healthy lifestyle. So, what is healthy lifestyle?
It's a very interesting question. Healthy lifestyle, I would say, is one that helps to keep and improve people's health and well-being. But I would like to mention two things here. When we talk about healthy lifestyle, I think it's important to remember that it's not just something for a particular period of time. It's not something just before your birthday. It's healthy living is a lifelong process. And I think it's very important for people to understand that it's something that we need to carry on for the rest of our life. The second important thing to mention is that it needs a lot of willpower and determination. You can attend as many lectures as you like, and you can have as many videos as you want, but if you don't have the willpower or the urge to change yourself, then it becomes a little bit difficult.
Yeah, as Dr. Azam says, it's the answer's in the name. So lifestyle, basically suggesting that it's the style with which you dictate your life, and small things over a long period of time end up mattering a lot more. So, say for example, we can take cigarettes. One cigarette a day over the rest of your life is going to have a cumulative effect, more so than, say for example, one cigarette over a day. So lifestyle is really about all the aspects of your life, and you can look at your sleep, you can look at your eating, you can look at your exercise levels, your work and your stress, all parts of living a healthy lifestyle.
Wow. So that means living healthy does not mean, when I said healthy lifestyle does not mean exercise and exercise only, right?
Not at all. And that's an important component of healthy lifestyle, but that's just one component. And there's a lot more to it than just exercise.
Exactly. I think, exercising or just moving around and being more active is very important, but it's not absolutely essential to lose weight even, to just move around. So you can entirely by diet alone, some of our patients who have pain in their knees or pain in their elbows and who struggle to move around can still make changes to their lifestyle to be more healthy. Just because you have pain in one particular area or an issue in one particular area doesn't mean you can't start making healthy lifestyle changes.
So when we talk about healthy lifestyle changes, what do you mean by that?
So there are quite a few things that's included in healthy lifestyle changes. I would like to mention the few important ones first. As you mentioned, Fahad, and Dr. Siddiqui mentioned, is the exercise. So basically, regular exercise, as much as you can do with according to your own, time, your schedules, your abilities, but move more. That's important. The second important component of healthy lifestyle is healthy eating habits, and I think we're going to talk in a little bit more detail what actually the healthy eating habits are later on. And then is a sleep routine, healthy sleep patterns, going to sleep early, waking up early, having a regular sleep pattern, and reducing stress is another factor that's included in the healthy living. So try and take away anything that it adds negativity to your day. And the last but not the least, I would like to emphasize on this is something called digital break.
Digital break?
Yes, very important, and I would like to take this opportunity to talk about digital break today. It's basically take a break from your gadgets, electronics, every day, in the evening, after you're back from work. Take your mobile phones and laptops away. Spend that little time with your family, doing some fun activities, some creative games. It could be your friends, your family, parents, children. But digital break is very important, especially in this era, Fahad, where we all are kind of stuck to the electronics. And it has been shown that it has huge impact on a person's physical and emotional well-being.
Wow.
I struggle to take a digital break all the time, so I can understand if some of our listeners find it difficult as well.
Okay, it kind of what's the best word? Because one of the things which I have managed last year. And last year, this is something which I have embraced. Halfway through the year, I said, "Look, my digital footprint is quite big. I need to take breaks," because my app was literally saying that much hours you have spent on phone, that much hours you have spent on social media.
Right.
So it was keep reminding me on a daily basis. So I said, "Okay, let me see how I can reduce it down." And there are times when I just don't see my phones, especially when I'm at work. There are only a few times when I see my phone when I was at work, and in the most of the time is either in the evening, 2 hours, 3 hours, on and off, and that's it. And it's hard, but it is really exciting as well, because you all of a sudden you have quite a few times in your hand, and sometimes you said, "What shall I do with it?"
So Fahad, I remember there were times when there used to be board games like chess and things like that families used to play together. But now you can find chess on the phone and iPads, and the families may still be playing chess together, but on a gadget. So why not have those board games again? Sit together on the floor together with the family and have a little bit of fun time.
I absolutely agree with you. On the other day, I've seen my son and my nephew playing a game together on their iPad, sitting next to each other, and it was extremely funny because they were literally saying these things, and luckily they are active, so they are playing games, but they're at the same time reenacting in the real life as well. Luckily, the game is not anything malicious, so it's just like a jumping game. So they were literally jumping up and down. Which is good in some sense. Instead of board game, they're using iPad, but they are physically active while playing the game. Let me ask our listeners as well what they think. So listeners, I definitely need your interaction. So if you have any questions or queries regarding healthy lifestyle to our lovely GPs in the house, we have GPs in the house, man. Come on. How often we have GPs? More than one GP at one time in this house. So we have two GPs, lovely two GPs in the house. Please, if you have any questions or queries regarding our show tonight, which is healthy lifestyle, give us a call on 1582 481822, or you can send your text messages or WhatsApp on 07779 481822. So when we talk about healthy lifestyle, we always talk about healthy habits. So if I ask you, what is your 5 healthy habits, Dr. Siddiqui?
So I think you're right in saying that habits are probably the most important building blocks of a healthy lifestyle, because when you look at habits, it's something that you do without thinking. It's automatic. There's a trigger for it, and you just end up doing it. And what we're understanding increasingly more and more is that all human beings have a limit in terms of their willpower. If you're requiring a lot of willpower each moment of the day, eventually at some point, if you leave yourself a chocolate in, right in front of your room, a chocolate next to your bed, a chocolate in the kitchen, eventually one of those chocolates is going to catch you. You're going to open the wrapper and you're going to start eating it. So creating healthy habits is making life a lot easier on your brain, and making it easier for you to just form the healthy lifestyle around that. So the things that I would say that I try and do, or I try and have triggers for, it starts off with my sleep. So one of the triggers for me to fall asleep, right before I fall asleep, is no phones and no television, and to start reading a book right before I go to sleep. And because that's kind of a way in which your brain kind of starts to relax and starts to de-stress from the day, it's a very, very good lifestyle to take up. So it makes it quicker for you to fall asleep, and it improves the quality of your sleep. The second healthy lifestyle that I've got is I particularly like to read health-related books, not just ones that are studies or journals, but just general books. And one of the most useful books I've read recently is Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. And he talks about some of the things that affect the quality of our sleep. One of the most important ones is caffeine. I say with a cup of tea in my hand. I try and avoid caffeine less than 6 hours before I go to sleep, because most of the studies show that if you have it within 6 hours of you going to bed, your actual quality of sleep, the next day you're going to feel a lot more tired. You won't realise why you're tired. And then later on that day, you're going to need more caffeine in the day to get you through the day, and then so on and so forth. So that's another lifestyle habit that I really try and change.
Can I let you in on one of my secrets?
Yeah?
A very, very bad habit.
Go on.
If I can't sleep, then I have caffeine. Because a very weird thing, unfortunately, with my
Some
body.
people I know, they can't go to sleep unless they have a coffee or tea.
No, with me, it's even worse. Because if I have a can of Red Bull or a black coffee, I will be asleep in 15 minutes. If I can't sleep, then I will need to have this to sleep in 15 minutes.
So what we know from the studies or from the information that we've got is that there's 2 types of sleep. Okay. Now the most important type of sleep is what's called REM sleep. It's when your eyes moving really, really quickly. And if you've ever seen someone else at home, in deep sleep, their muscles are completely relaxed and their eyes are flickering around. During that phase of sleep, your brain is doing all the repair, all the kind of rejuvenation. Your body's getting all that sort of replenishment that it needs. Now, you only have that sleep, number one, towards the end of your 8-hour schedule of sleep. Okay, and number 2, you only have it as long as you're not taking things like caffeine. The more caffeine you take right before you sleep, the shorter and shorter the amount of REM sleep that you have. And so you feel without that REM sleep, if you just have sort of normal sleep, you have really, really poor quality sleep. So it's important to kind of avoid it as much as you can. Although, especially in Ramadan, I find it quite difficult myself to avoid.
With the long days, yes.
Yeah. So at iftar time, I always have a cup of tea because I get headaches without it. So I can understand it's difficult, but that's part of habits. You kind of pick what's useful for your own lifestyle and make the changes that you need to.
Okay, that's 3 habits. What's the remaining 2 habits?
Oh, the remaining 2. Right before I go to work, I try and go to the gym before I go to work. The benefits of sort of going to gym or exercise are 2 main ones. Number 1, it releases endorphins into your body, and those are sort of happy hormones. And so you have that positive feeling. After you've worked out, you've really sweated, you get that feeling of really, really good, healthy. That is all from the brain, because your brain is releasing sort of happy hormones. The second thing is it gives you mental clarity. So right before I'm starting to work and seeing patients, I'd like to be completely clear in my mind and being able to see exactly what's going on, and being able to think really clearly about my patients' problems. And the last healthy lifestyle habit is that I try and prepare most of my meals. So especially in the last 6 months, particularly since I've passed all my exams, I have tried to always ensure that I'm preparing my meals beforehand.
By yourself?
Well, yeah, myself, my wife, but but it's always between one of us that will prepare a meal or two, and we'll try and avoid doing takeouts or Deliveroo or Uber Eats, it was slowly creeping up a little bit in our lifestyle.
Okay. Now, before coming to you, Rubina, I have few questions right on my screen. It's on the Facebook screen, to be honest. Right. Baz was asking. Well, there are a few shout-outs saying we are watching, and then Asik was saying we are watching. Perfect. Thank you so much for watching. And Baz, we are missing you in the studio. You need to be in the studio. Come on. Asking, what is the minimum exercise you should do? What's the thing? Sorry, I just literally lost the thing. What is the minimum exercise you should do to stay well?
So the recommendations, it depends on whether you want to lose weight, whether you just want to stay healthy. But it's recommended to do 30 minutes of brisk, moderate level of exercise for five times a week. So that's about the kind of exercise where you become breathless and you feel that your heart is racing fast. But if you're doing brisk exercise, then you can reduce the amount of time. If you're doing running and jogging, then it doesn't have to be 30 minutes. But minimum that we should do to stay healthy and active is 30 minutes of moderate exercise 5 times a week.
5 times a week?
Yes.
Okay, so we can have break days as well. Nice.
We can have break days. It's nearly about 150 minutes.
Perfect. Okay. Cool. To Dr. Siddiqui, I get a lot of back pain. How can I help myself?
Well, back pain's something.
And this is also from Baz, not from me, from your boss.
Back pain's something that I've suffered from myself as well, and I think it's increasingly common in society.
Baz, what's happening? All the doctors are having back pain. You're having back pain. Your students are having back pain. What are you doing, man? Come on. Sorry, disturb you.
It's something that you have to think of that in older societies, we wouldn't be spending so much time sitting on chairs and cushions. And with that time, your muscles are really not working much. If you compare sitting on a stool or sitting on the floor, you're using all your muscles to keep yourself sat up. Or even if you're squatting, which they do in sort of a lot of societies, you're kind of strengthening those muscles and supporting your back. When you're sitting for long periods of time in the day, I think what can happen is that your back is unsupported. You end up having pain as a result because it's just not getting the support that it needs. It's like having a building structure where the pillars of the building aren't as strong after some time and they get worn down. So the best things to do are generally to be active. So swimming is a very good one for your back. Making sure that you're active in general, trying to walk very often, especially if you've got a job that's sitting quite a lot. Specifically for back pain, there's some exercises that you can do. They're called the McGill exercises, and according to most studies, they're very, very beneficial for back pain. But if any of your listeners are curious, then if you just Google McGill Big 3, then you'll get the exact exercises. It's very easy to do.
McGill Big 3.
Yeah, you just need to spend 15 minutes a day doing them, and they're very specific for strengthening some of the muscles in your back.
Okay.
I've introduced them to Dr. Bari, and since then I think his back pain's resolved completely. So I've got one happy customer.
You want? Oh, come on! I definitely want to try now. Not that I have. I do have back pain, but it's not because of a long-term sitting. It's like, unfortunately, I've gone back into my exercise routine. So yeah, it's one of those back pains. Right. Now, another question from one of the listeners is asking, what is the basic healthy eating? What can we eat more healthier? I mean, what?
Right. That's a question that we get asked quite often, and there's a huge list of healthy things that we can eat. And I think, Fahad, if I mention the unhealthy things, the things that people should avoid, it will make it easier for them to understand what they shouldn't include in their diet. So all the healthy things are the fruits, vegetables, lean meat, and some nuts and things like that. But things that we don't realize that are unhealthy, which are part and parcel of our everyday diet, is basically refined carbohydrates. In short, they're called as carbs. And recently, evidence shows that carbs are actually more unhealthy than fat. So refined carbs are in white flour, like pasta, noodles, spaghettis, rice, bread, things like that. So these things do actually cause a lot of health problems.
Sorry, Rubina, I have to cut you off because unfortunately we will get cut off very quickly because we are approaching to our very first commercial break, and only commercial break that is. When we come back, we will definitely continue where you have left off with all the eating healthy habits. But listeners, please do not go anywhere. We will be back after these very short messages. Stay tuned.
You're listening to an Inspire FM podcast, making available our popular programs from our daily broadcast on Inspire FM.
Any health advice given, whether general, diet, physical, or spiritual, is general only and must be verified by your doctor. If you need medical advice, please consult a doctor.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening to all our listeners and viewers. Welcome back to the Health and Fitness Show. I'm Fahad Matin, your host for today's show, and enjoying every single moment of the show with my lovely two doctors who are giving me very good healthy lifestyle tips and advice, and they are none other than Dr. Rubina Azam and Dr. Samee Siddiqui. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
This program is broadcasting live from the studios of Inspire FM today on Thursday, the 30th of January 2020. And this program is broadcasting live for our lovely listeners of Luton and the listeners of Bedfordshire and across Bedfordshire and the surrounding areas of Luton, like Dunstable, Harpenden, and definitely some areas of Milton Keynes. It's reaching as well on the borderlines of Bedfordshire. It's reaching as well. So yeah, to all our listeners who are listening us live on the radio, or they are listening us live on our web app or our Aspire FM web page, website, their mobile app, or even our Facebook Live. Yeah, they might be watching us. Well, I can see that they are watching us. Welcome and good evening. So before we went on break, I rudely interrupted our lovely Dr. Rubina when she was explaining about the diet, which is right diet, which is no, not diet, eat more healthy kind of thing, which we were taking.
Yes, we were talking about what are the healthier diets that we should include more in our everyday routine, and I was mentioning that it's basically the refined carbs that we should try and avoid, and as Dr. Siddiqui mentioned, that he tries and cooks everything at home. So, listeners, I would strongly recommend that you try and make everything from scratch. So eat real food, no processed food, nothing that's kind of just a quick fix kind of thing. So any real food, and for snacks you can have nuts, fruits, vegetables like cucumber, things like that. Try and avoid crackers, biscuits.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Yes.
How many times you have pizza or outside takeaways?
Very rarely. Only on occasions, I would say. Even if I'm tired in the evening, I would just grab something and try and make something in the evening.
Wow.
I had pizza this Monday.
To be honest, I was thinking of having pizza last week, but hey ho, I didn't get a chance whatsoever. But yeah, I must say, I'm having lots and lots of questions on Facebook page, which is really interesting, and thank you for all the listeners who are listening us and asking us. But listeners, if you have any questions or queries regarding the topic we are discussing today, which is healthy lifestyle, please give us a call on 01582 481822, or you can send your questions by text messages or WhatsApp on 07779 481822. We have two GPs, two soon to be qualified GPs in the house, two doctors definitely in the house, and they are giving really nice and practical health lifestyle advices. And the questions which I have received online, one of them is quite unique, so I thought I better ask you in Urdu, क्योंकि हमारे उर्दू listeners के लिए भी तो कुछ होना चाहिए ना यार. आप दोनों उर्दू में बात कर सकते हैं, so why not? It's a very unique thing कि हमारे पास कोई doctors आते हैं जो कि उर्दू में बात करते हैं हमारे उर्दू listeners के लिए. So for उर्दू listeners, सबसे बड़ी चीज़ जो एक हमेशा सवाल रहता है हर एक के जहन में, हर एक की ज़बान पे, कि डाइट क्या और एक्सरसाइज, इन दोनों में से क्या है स्टे हेल्थी और फिट के लिए?
फहद, मेरा पर्सनल ओपिनियन है कि दोनों ही इक्वली इम्पोर्टेंट हैं. सिर्फ डाइट से भी आप जो हेल्थ बेनिफिट्स हैं वो अचीव नहीं कर सकते, और सिर्फ एक्सरसाइज से आप अचीव नहीं कर सकते. आपको दोनों की कॉम्बिनेशन बहुत ज़रूरी है. लेकिन अगर मेरे पास ऑप्शन होता और मैं दोनों में से कोई एक चूज़ करती, मेरा पर्सनल ओपिनियन है, तो मैं डाइट को ज़्यादा चूज़ करती. उसका रीज़न ये है कि हमारी डाइट जो है वो लॉन्ग टर्म कंडीशंस जैसे कि डायबिटीज़ हैं और दिल की बीमारियां हैं, उनको भी अफेक्ट करती है. लेकिन दूसरी बात यह है कि अगर हम डाइट में बहुत ज़्यादा शुगर का इस्तेमाल करें और मीठी चीज़ों का इस्तेमाल करें, तो इसका वेट लॉस के अलावा बाकी भी हेल्थ इश्यूज़ हैं. जैसे कि न्यूली रिसर्च हुई है कि बहुत ज़्यादा शुगर खाने से एक कंडीशन है, उसको कहते हैं लीकी गट. वो हो जाता है जिससे आपकी आर्थराइटिस की बीमारियाँ, ऑटोइम्यून बीमारियाँ, एलर्जी कंडीशंस, वो सारी ज़्यादा हो जाती हैं. तो एक्सरसाइज से आपको ओवरऑल बेनिफिट मिलता है, लेकिन डाइट से आपका वेट लॉस के अलावा बाकी भी बहुत सारे आपको बेनिफिट्स होते हैं. लेकिन आपको हेल्दी रहने के लिए इन दोनों में से किसी एक का चुनाव काफ़ी मुश्किल है. आपको दोनों ही हैंड इन हैंड कैरी ऑन करने होंगे.
लेकिन यार कम ऑन, देसी होने की वजह से एक चीज़ तो कॉमन है हमारे अंदर, खाना पीना आराम करना. That is one very common thing in most of the desis. Come on यार.
आपको मैं एक बात बताऊं फहद, बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग, जो कि थोड़ी सी स्कैरी भी है. वो ये कि साउथ एशियंस में जो डायबिटीज़ का रेशो है वो 2 to 4 times हायर है एज़ कम्पेयर टू अदर पॉपुलेशन. उसमें एथनिसिटी भी आ जाती है, क्योंकि हमारी जेनेटिक मेकअप इस तरह का है कि हमें ज़्यादा रिस्क है डायबिटीज़ होने का. लेकिन उसमें डाइट भी एक एलिमेंट आ जाता है. तो मैं डेफिनेटली कहूँगी कि खाना पीना हमें पसंद है और हमें ओकेजन्स पे करना चाहिए, लेकिन हमें अपनी लाइफस्टाइल इस तरह बनानी चाहिए एज अ फैमिली कि हम ओकेजन्स पे भी थोड़ा सा इस बात को रखें कि हमारे टेबल पे क्या क्या है.
मैं जब ऐसी बातें करता हूँ तो मैं ऐसे सोचता हूँ जैसे घर पे बात कर रहा हूँ अपने माँ बाप से, और अम्मी अब्बू मुश्किल से बदलते हैं अपने लाइफस्टाइल. तो मैं सोचता हूँ मेरे पेशेंट्स के लिए भी मुश्किल होगा अपने लाइफस्टाइल बदलना. तो मैं ऐसे कहता हूँ कि जो आपके लिए आसान है, अगर डाइट बदलना आसान है तो आप वो बदलें. मगर अगर आप जैसे कोई और आपके खाने बना रहा है, आपकी बेगम या आपका मियाँ
या आपकी वालदा,
हाँ जी, तो फिर आप एक्सरसाइज बना दें. मगर जो आसान है उसको करते हैं और उसको मजबूत बना दें. तो like for me I say little and often is the right thing. और ये सुन्नत में भी है कि जो चीज़ें करेंगे आप कंसिस्टेंटली करें. और सेम बात यह है कि मैंने एक हफ्ते में एक बार पिज़्ज़ा खाया इस हफ्ते, तो इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि मैं ऑटोमेटिकली अनहेल्थी हो गया. हाँ, इसका मतलब ये है कि मुझे और भी चीज़ें करनी है जिसमें मेरी लाइफस्टाइल ओवरऑल ज़्यादा हेल्थी बननी है. तो अगर मैंने एक्सरसाइज बढ़ाई, अगर मैंने जैसे मुख्तलिफ़ चीज़ें खाई, वेरीड फूड्स, हाँ, अगर आप आसान चीज़ें सोचें तो हमारे जो देसी कम्युनिटी है उनके लिए आसान चीज़ें, कुछ चीज़ें खाना ज़्यादा बेहतर है. जैसे हम वैसी दाल ज़्यादा खाते हैं, तो दाल को बढ़ाना बहुत अच्छा है. The legumes, according to the studies, are pretty good for your health.
Yeah. And I must say, I remember Dr. Abu Bakr always says to me, and I think so he's watching as well, he always says to me that portion control is vital, and it is really, really important. And he always says that if you can fist, or if you can bring all your rice in your fist, and that's much rice your stomach need, and that's it. And fill your plate with all the green vegetables and so forth. Make your plate as colorful as possible. And colorful with vegetables, not with sauces.
Yeah,
importantly.
The last part of that is what's called mindful eating.
Yeah.
And that's becoming more in fashion these days. What we mean by mindful eating is that you can compare two people who are having the same meal. Now, one person is having the meal and they're watching TV, or they're sitting at the work table, carrying on with their work. They're not thinking about what they're eating. Their body's not registering that they're eating. You compare that to someone who's focused entirely on what you're eating, on what you're chewing, enjoying the meal, and you're more likely, especially if you chew more often, the studies show that you're more likely to feel more satisfied and feel more full with the same amount of food. So mindful eating, especially with your family members, having everyone sit down at the dinner table, no distractions, no games, no mobile phones, as Dr. Azam was saying, that's very, very beneficial for your health.
Indeed. I have a few more questions in my hand, and the time is literally running away from us because we're enjoying ourselves. So one of the other listener was asking about. Sorry, there are so many questions in front of me. He was asking where can we get. How to improve our mental health, mental well-being.
So mental well-being, again, we're going back to lifestyle. Again, mental well-being is actually quite linked to lifestyle. So when we're looking at certain cases, so if you're suffering from severe depression or severe anxiety, if you have severe mental health issues, then by all means, you do need to see your doctor and you need to get formal professional medical advice. But when you're talking about low levels of mental health, so we're talking about mild depression, little bit of low mood, and if we're talking about little bits of anxiety and stress at work, if we're looking at that, then it's very much that your lifestyle can improve that. So there's a difference. I wouldn't say that to someone who has severe depression to go do all these lifestyle changes, because that may not fix the problem. It might delay you getting help. But when you have mild levels, what we do know, according to, again, I go back to the studies, but according to a lot of studies, people, because when you're exercising, you're releasing those happy hormones, the endorphins, across your body. We do know that exercise can be used as a treatment for low levels of mental health problems. And so people who are inactive and starting to feel, a little bit claustrophobic at work, if you're feeling bullied at work, if you're feeling unhappy in your lifestyle, then getting off the couch and kind of moving around is going to be really beneficial. And your brain just kickstarts that hormone rebalancing and makes you feel a lot more positive for the future. So I'd say give it 6 weeks. Try and be more active for at least 6 weeks, and if not, then see someone professionally.
Also socializing. So when you're doing these activities in the form of groups, for example, park run is an amazing activity that you can do. You can go there and walk, run, or jog. When you socialize with new people, make new friends, spend time with your family, that has a huge impact on your emotional well-being. So I would recommend that as well, in addition to the exercise.
Yes, park run is perfect. I've been to only one park run, and that was one of the horrendous weather. My another goal is to go back on this week, on this park run this week. I was thinking of going last week, but unfortunately I was having some pains in my body, so I could not do. But have you guys done the park run?
Yeah.
Yes, and there's one coming up on 1st of February, which is especially for the GPs. And people who have...
1st of February, which is like now?
Yes.
This Saturday?
Saturday. And for people who have children, there's a junior park run every Sunday, same time, 9 o'clock at the same place. And they can go there with kids, they can go there with buggies, push chairs, and they can walk, run, enjoy a family time with their children.
Even if you're not running, as long as you're getting out into nature, so the greeneries are something that's very, very beneficial for you, and just being around and surrounded by nature, especially if you've got mostly an office environment where there's no natural light, just being out and about in nature. The Japanese do it quite often. I think it's called tree bathing, but you might have to check that. Okay. And they just go out into nature, and it's really beneficial for your mood and for your mental health.
Okay, cool. I have quite a few questions on line up in front of me on Facebook. I have a caller right in front of me on the phone call. So let's take a phone call first. So listeners, Assalamu alaikum. Brother Asif, I presume.
Assalamu alaikum. Can you guys hear me?
Welcome, Salam. Yes, we can hear you.
I got a question. To my second question, basically, the question is, if I have to choose between fat and sugar,
Mm-hmm.
and I have to leave one of them, which one I should keep and which one I should leave?
Perfect. Very good question.
I mean, the basic question: fat or sugar?
Fat and sugar. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Brother Asif, for asking this question. Right, docs. Fat and sugar. One of the big questions.
I think
One will talk about fat, one will talk about sugar. Come on.
I think I briefly mentioned a little bit earlier that fat, provided it's healthy fat, is now considered healthier as compared to sugar, because when we eat sugar, that becomes automatically converted into fat in your body, and sugar has lots of other more detrimental effects on the body as well. So if I were to choose between fat and sugar, I would choose healthier fat, so fat that's there in the food naturally. For example, fat in avocado, fat in full-fat cheese, full-fat yogurt. But I won't recommend it to people who have already got high cholesterol, and I would suggest that they obviously consult their doctor for further advice. But sugar is definitely, in my opinion, more dangerous than healthy fat.
Okay.
So my opinion on this is slightly different. That we can't cut out any major food group. So what's previously happened throughout the last 40, 50 years in terms of food marketing is that certain food groups have been brandished as the demon food. Now, early 80s, 90s, you're thinking, oh my God, it's all the fats. You had all the changes. McDonald's are changing all their thing. They were sued actually because of the composition of the oil that they were making their chips with. So it was that much of a demon food. And now we're finding that carbs are the demon food. And what you actually have to look at is it's not necessarily just purely that food, but number one, it's how much you're eating of it, and number two is how is it processed. So if you're trying to have the let's say take for example a large can of Coke, okay, with sugar, not Coke Zero, that's got plenty of sugar inside of it. If you're trying to have the exact same amount of sugar from an apple, you have to eat about 10, 15 apples. You're never going to get through that many apples. So it's about the form that you're having it
so
in.
if we go back to the basics,
Yeah.
eat real food from the scratch, no processed meals, and you'll be fine.
And so an apple has sugar in it, but actually it's got pectins, it's got soluble fiber, it improves your artery supply, so it reduces the amount of sort of atherosclerosis in your arteries, and it's one of the most beneficial foods for keeping you full. So looking at what's called high satiety foods that when you eat them you don't feel full after a few hours. The two highest performers on that list are apples and boiled potatoes. Okay, but if you're having processed potatoes fried or with all sorts of other things, empty calories that are going into your body, then very much detrimental. And
Samee, are you still a GP? Because the way you are talking about is in a second. For a second, I thought you're a dietitianist rather than a GP, because that's perfectly hearing from somebody like yourself as a GP. And I must say, I've heard this from many different GPs. Even my GP literally badgered in my head that I have eating healthy food, but he always guide me and inspire me every single time. But yeah, it is amazing. Unfortunately, we have very less time remaining. I have so many questions right in front of me, so I'm jumping back to the next question. One of the questions come from a listener saying, where can we get help for our right diet plan in Luton?
So there's quite a lot of places where you can go for help, not just for the diet plan, but overall for healthy living. One of the places is called Total Wellbeing, and believe it or not, they have got healthy lifestyle advices for children over the age of 5. So you can go there as a family. So what you need to do is Google Total Wellbeing, and on the first page you'll be able to see an option self-refer. You don't need to see a GP for that. You just click on that, refer yourself or a family member, and they'll be able to advise you.
Okay.
And there's a number of NHS websites that you can have a look at in terms of having a healthy lifestyle. The important thing is that you're not going to the wrong places for your information, and especially with some of our younger patients probably using online sources more. It's important that you're not relying entirely on hearsay. When you're looking at things, just look, is it a reliable website? Is it quoting you information on actual studies that are easy for you to digest, or is it quoting you just hearsay and saying this is bad? Because I personally find it very, very bad when a website says this food you have to cut out and you'll suddenly be super fit and super healthy and live to 100 years. And there are certain foods that we're finding are beneficial for aging, and the research is
just like a ketogenic diet is very in the market. And today I was in one of the diabetes study days, and I was surprised. The doctors were saying ketogenic diet is good for a normal human person, for a normal human being who do not have any long-term conditions. But if you have diabetes, don't do that without your GP's advice. And I absolutely agree with that. But yeah, sorry, I cut you off.
No. I mean, there's going back to what I was saying about aging specifically. There's certain compounds that we're finding in foods like broccoli, cabbage, and cucumber. That one of the books that I just finished reading is called Lifespan. I read it on holiday recently, and they're finding that when you inject that compound into mice, their aging is slowed down. I mean, you can't stop it completely, but the aging is slowed down. Their body rejuvenates more, so all of the other health functions are improved. So you can see that just having more vegetables, more just natural greens into your diet can be very, very beneficial for your lifestyle.
Indeed. The next question from one of the other listeners, Asan Raza, asking how to improve stress while having high blood pressure without medication.
How to improve stress?
How to improve, not improve ourselves. How to improve our health?
How to help with the stress if you have a high blood pressure. So some of the things that Dr. Siddiqui already mentioned is as he mentioned, that exercise releases endorphins, which are natural antidepressants. So exercise is one of the things that will help certainly with the stress and the high blood pressure. And the other things I think we mentioned previously is socializing, going out with the family, making new friends, doing activities together. These are the things which will help with the stress overall, and also will help with the blood pressure. But if someone thinks that they've got a very high level of stress and they need medications, then I would suggest that they seek medical advice
and go and see a GP. Perfectly, definitely. And if you are trying any kind of healthy plan, diet or exercise or any whatsoever, and you have any kind of medical conditions, please go and speak to your GP. Go and speak to your nurse practitioner. Get the advice which you need to look after your health, because every single human being is different and their makeup is different and they may need different advice. Am I right, doctors?
Yes.
Entirely correct.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And next it seems like the questions are literally pouring through. I love that. Another questions pop on the screen, and they are talking about. They're saying, "Great show. Any tips on how to improve sleeping? Good to hear doctor talking about prevention and lifestyle." Perfect. Okay. I know you talked about, Dr. Siddiq, you talked about tips of sleep, improving sleep. A very quick one, because we are about to finish our show in about 2 minutes' time. So it's a bit kind of a catch-up as well.
Because we don't have time at the moment, I would suggest going on Sleep Hygiene NHS. And there are lots and lots of tips on how to improve your sleep pattern and how to help you go to sleep early and things like that. So Sleep Hygiene NHS, and you will have all the tips.
One thing I'd say is a simple message: no less than 8 hours. Okay, everyone who thinks that they can work on less than 8 hours, the actual benefit of that REM sleep that you get, most of it is built into the last 2 of the 8 hours. So if you're getting 6, that beneficial aspect of your sleep is really not coming back to you.
Perfect. Okay. As we just have literally under 3 minutes, 4 minutes, if you give a quick round of catch-up of what we have discussed today for our listeners who are listening us.
It's been really enjoyable talking about the healthy lifestyle, and I think myself, Dr. Siddiqui, Fahad, and all of your listeners, I think we all can do it. Let's have the willpower and the determination that we all need, and I'm sure we all can do it.
I'd say just never stop in your pursuit of healthy habits, and there's always small changes that you can make. Like I tell my parents, just make small increases and small changes. If you're thinking about anything, stop your car a little bit early and walk to work a little bit further. The other small and simple change that you can make is increase the sort of vegetables in your foods, or increase the amount of legumes, so dals, that you're eating at home. One or two books that I'd recommend is one's called Lifespan, and that's by Dr. David Sinclair. The other one I'd say that's very, very beneficial is Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker.
So you mentioned about Matthew Walker earlier as well. So what's the beauty on that?
It's
A quick one.
every single aspect of your sleep and why it's important and how it affects you. Okay, and literally the bits before you sleep, what you're doing whilst you are sleeping, and how much it affects you. And I, even as with my medical training, hadn't come across that much information about sleep and how it affects your memory, what's your chances of sort of how you're going to function, especially before exams. Last thing I'd mention, especially before we go, is mindfulness. We haven't touched at all upon it.
Exactly, yeah.
I think mindfulness is one of the most beneficial things that you can do for your brain, for improving your cognitive function and memory.
Don't worry, sirs. Don't worry, doctors. You are not getting away that easy. I will be calling you in a few months' time again on my show, and we definitely want to continue these topics again.
So 2 apps for mindfulness. One is called Calm, one's called Headspace, and also if you're thinking about stopping smoking, there's another app that's available, and it's called Quit Genius.
Perfect.
Are you sure you haven't commissioned them?
No.
Perfect. Thank you so much, doctors, for joining us today, and thank you for all the listeners who are listening to us today. I have another message from Sister Sarah, who do Mother Planet. She says, "Islam, great show. I will have a nutritionist, Jasmine from Total Wellbeing, on my show tomorrow in Mother's Planet at 10 a.m. And they will be going through weight management, children's and adult diet and health advice. So please join on the show. Listeners, get information. Please ask questions too as well. So thank you so much, doctors, for joining us today.
Thank you very
for
much.
having us.
And thank you for all the listeners and viewers who have joined us today. You guys are great. I really love you guys because you guys have interacted with us today through our Facebook. Our Facebook is really busy today, I must say. And that's all for our show tonight. If you have missed any part of the show, please don't worry. You can still catch us on the Facebook, because it's still there on the Facebook, or you can listen to our repeats, which is on Saturday at 9 p.m. Or do remember us in your duas. Until next week, I'm your host Fahad Matin, signing off. Assalamu alaikum.
Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. Why not tune in to our live stream at inspirefm.org and follow and subscribe to our social media platforms at Inspire FM Luton.